Hi, and welcome to the Locals Diaries home studio. I'm Doug Shaw, and each week we'll be taking a look at a new creative idea, something you can make or do using materials you can find in most households. The aim of the game is to try something different, jump in and have a bit of fun. We're supporting the Locals Diaries project, which is an archive project being run by the London Borough of Sutton, who are keen to understand how people are thinking and feeling in these rather unusual times. If you'd like to know more about that project and possibly make a contribution to it, then you can read more in the text below. Right now, let's get stuck into this week's session, which is all about comic strips. This week we're going to be looking at comic strips and cartoons, which can be a really powerful and useful way of telling a story. Whether you use one picture or maybe a series of pictures, it's up to you. I'll give you a quick example of some work I made a little while ago. Here you can see very simple, just barely more than a stick person with their backpack and sleeping roll, thinking about the great outdoors, getting ready to go on an adventure. And then here I've drawn that person, again very simple design, but out and about, out in the big wide world and off doing something. So that's a quick example of how you might use one picture on one page, but I want to focus today in a little bit more detail on an example of a more sort of traditional comic strip where we have a series of panels where the story is elaborated, and I'll show you what I mean in a moment. I've drawn one out in pencil underneath here. So what you're going to need to draw your own comic strip is some paper. You're going to need a pencil and a rubber and a pen for inking in once you've penciled out your initial design. So let's have a look at the idea that I've got for my comic strip this week. And as you can see, I think it's got a connection to current sort of lockdown situation. We're not able to get to the hairdressers very easily. So in this cartoon comic strip, you can see my character. As their hair grows, then the plant that's sitting next to them on the table grows as well. I mean, you can come up with any kind of story that you want, beginning, middle, end, but I just thought this was a simple way of illustrating the passing of time during these unusual times. Now, as you can see, I've mapped the design out beforehand, so I drew around a roll of masking tape actually, which of course you know how it is. I can't find it now, but on my desk I had a roll of masking tape, and I thought, oh, I'll have a circular frame, and then I'll put kind of two square ones around it. So what I'm quickly going to do is just start to ink this in while I'm talking to you about how a comic strip works. So I will just take this marker pen and start to ink in the frames. I'm not going to be too precise about it. So my story will be contained within these frames, but there are also things you can do to sort of create enhance the effect, if you like, of the passing of time by adding things in one panel which either repeat, like this story does, or even cross over. And I'll show you what I mean by that in a second. So that's two panels done. Now just quickly bring the pen around here. So as you can see, I'm just following the pencil lines that I've already put in. So I'm getting quite a good shape without worrying too much about how kind of accurate it all is. And just bring this line up here. I might think of a name for my character while we're doing this, but anyway. So as you can see, I've drawn this in pencil, and part of the reason for doing that is that I can plan it out and make sure that my design and story work well before committing to actually inking it in. But now that I'm happy with the general idea, what I'm going to do is just start to put the character in place. They've got a little table next to them here. As you see, I don't have to be too accurate about it. I just want a kind of nice, simple cartoon sort of style. So detail's not important. The content of the story really is what's interesting. So let's just put this person's head, put their smiley face on, and at the beginning of lockdown, there they are, with a nice plant and a regular haircut for them anyway. Now, I talked about right at the beginning there how you can link items from one panel to another to kind of create this almost scrolling effect. So I've got a window in the background here, and what I'm going to do is that window is actually going to appear in both the first and the second panel of the cartoon. So it kind of creates this effect almost as if it's kind of rolling along. So let's put the hillside, there's a little pathway there. And the other hill goes sort of behind the bar of the frame. There's a couple of birds flying around in the sky. Again, you can see this is all very simple artwork, nice and easy. The focus is on the story. So let's draw our character in frame 2. Again, really simple illustration, just to convey the idea of what's going on. Put the little tabletop on there, and there's the plant pot. And in this one we can see that the plant's growing, or of course it would, because time is passing by. Let's put another leaf on there, and our character, still very happy about things, got a big smile on their face, but hairdressers aren't open at the moment, so the hair's getting a little bit longer, a bit like mine. Anyway, it's not quite as long as this. And then we fast forward, roll on to the final frame, and again you'll see little pencil marks here. So I've tried to get the height of the person, you know, roughly the same, so it's sort of consistent. But I don't want to get too high up on it, so it's not essential. Again, keeping the drawing style very simple. This isn't about fine art. This is just about being able to tell a story through the use of visual imagery. And of course the plant has been well looked after over these months, and boy oh boy, look at how it's grown. And of course our character's hair has done the same thing, and I'm going to go a bit nuts here now and really exaggerate for the final frame of the cartoon. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to, on some of the hair, I'm going to put these leaf type patterns, so we're not quite sure now, is that our character's hair, or is it the plant? Where does one begin and where does the other one end? That kind of idea. There we go. Let's just put another one on there. And there you have it, a very simple cartoon, but one that very much tells a story of a little bit of what's going on right now. You can, as I say, you can come up with your own story. You could do it in 2 frames, 1, you could do it on different pages like I showed earlier. And if you've got some coloured pens, you could of course add some colour too. I'm going to show you one other example I drew before we got started. Here it is. Now, this was me a few weeks ago. I had to go and chop some wood for a log burner that we've got in the house. So I thought I'd make a bit of a cartoon of it. So you can see me off out on my adventure here, carrying my axe over my shoulder. And then in the middle frame, here I am working hard. You can see these little lines here to create look like movement of the axe. And I'm starting to sweat. This is hard work. And then at the end, I'm feeling very triumphant because I've managed to chop all my wood, so I can now kind of take it home and light the fire and keep warm. And again, you can see I've tried to sort of continue the pathway through this so it looks like a story that's rolling along. Similarly, the birds here, they're flying from one panel to the other, and I've used the sun here that again carries across between one panel and another, so you get the sense of a story unfolding a little bit like we did with our friend here. I'll come up with a name for them maybe, but anyway, for now, that's what I wanted to show you. A very simple way to tell stories using comic strips. If you'd like to draw your own comic strip and you want to share it with us online, then please use the hashtag the locals diaries. I hope you've enjoyed today's session, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care. Bye bye for now.